have such sights to show you. We're Poppin the Scary horror podcast here. I'm your host Coale, and with me as always, I have my good friend and co-host Aaron. Aaron, greetings.
Hello.
Howdy doody, bud.
Well, howdy doody,
I know, right? You would think with this being the 65th episode, I would have different ways of saying hello. You know, similar to like Ask That Guy with the Glasses way back in the days of yore. Yeah, but anyways, so are you feeling quite well today, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, dude, I'm chilling.
Yeah, you're ready to find a leprechaun?
Yeah, or two.
No, just one. Just the first one.
Shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, Leprechaun is definitely one of those films we've heard about.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely heard about, because it definitely just came to the what if so-and-so was a killer,
Yeah.
essentially. I know that was your initial fear with Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. And I'm not going to lie, this is an episode that I am very iffy about, because I don't know anything about Leprechaun, except for the fact that it has a killer leprechaun in it.
Yep.
Super surprise. And it came out in the year 93. So that's about as much as I know about it. Oh, and Jennifer Aniston's in it.
Oh, really?
Yes. So nifty,
Okay.
before the peak of Friends and everything else. But
Pretty
yeah,
Friends
this is a film for me that's like just check it off my list sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of those things I'm like, yeah, I need to check out Leprechaun, because I do like goofy horror films and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same point, there's always a fine line with goofy horror films and whether they're admirable or atrocious.
True. Yeah.
Usually one of the two. And gonna be honest, I'm not having the highest hopes going into this. I mean, definitely more than the ungodly amount of sequels the Leprechaun franchise has received. But yeah, like I said, I don't know too much about this. How about you? Any knowledge?
Really nothing. I'm expecting big poo-poo. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, as you mentioned, I feel like there are just a slew of horror movies that kind of pin themselves to a holiday to be like, come out and watch this movie on this holiday. And that's what we're doing now. St. Patrick's Day coming up, we're going to watch Leprechaun. So, but I don't think they necessarily budget it to have a lot of longevity necessarily beyond the novelty. So I'm going in with low expectations, but that just means that maybe this movie will exceed them.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Optimistic.
No, definitely thought it'd be fitting with St. Patrick's Day coming up to check out a St. Patrick's horror film.
Yeah.
Really, probably one in the few that there are with Leprechaun. So, don't go anywhere at all, because we'll be right back after we watch Leprechaun.
Oh, they're tickling me lucky charms.
You need a lawyer.
What are you?
What do I look like, me lad? See that? The buckles on me shoes? Why, I'm a leprechaun.
And we are back from watching Leprechaun. Now, in the time, this is our 65th episode.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I have always selected the movies always ahead of time, minus Dave's picks and everything. Now, I knew going into this, there was a chance that, yeah, this film's probably not going to be good.
Right.
And even knowing that, I was still not prepared.
Yeah,
So
this is the worst film we've watched on this podcast.
I would agree with that. Because there has been films that you certainly haven't liked.
True.
Some being controversial, like Halloween.
Yeah.
And then other ones less controversial, like Friday the 13th Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Krampus. Krampus has been the threshold.
Yeah, Krampus is bad.
Yeah. But yeah, we're either going to have a lot to say or nothing to say. I think it's genuinely Like, it's bad.
It's
Because,
bad.
like... Well, no, this situation's bad. The movie's bad for sure.
Yeah.
But this is like a bad situation that even if a movie's bad, I could be like, nah, I still had fun with it. Still,
Right.
That
And
this is literally...
You would think you could have fun with Leprechaun Kills People, the movie, but it was so offensively stale
Yes.
for being Leprechaun, the movie.
It was jarring. It's one of those things that I'm like, man, I've put off watching this film for a long time, you know, like... Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say I watched it. While I am happy to say I watched Leprechaun,
Yeah.
that's where the happiness starts to dwindle off.
Yeah.
It's just saying, I watched it, finally.
I, Leprechaun, say many good things about this movie. And if you thought that joke was bad, you should watch this movie.
No, honestly, that joke was above.
that was
the majority of the
it
jokes.
was better than all the jokes in the movie.
Yeah, supposedly the film was going to be more serious, but
Was it?
yeah, supposedly, but Warwick Davis, who plays the Leprechaun, had a lot of fun making jokes and everything. That they're like, yeah, let's just make it a little more goofy. Which I honestly don't think this film would have even been better minus the jokes.
If the jokes were funny or even just like so cringe that they became funny, then it would be great. But the idea of the humor was just to like say a line that didn't like mean or add anything, and that ended up being most of the script was just dialogue that didn't add anything, and it was attempting, I assume in many parts, to inject humor, but it was just like, I don't eat meat, I want a salad. Pause for laughter. Like, it's just like, it's just awful. It was just so bad.
How about we talk about the plot of Leprechaun?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, because that part doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, so basically the plot of Leprechaun focuses on, surprisingly, a leprechaun who is trying to find his gold that was taken. Yeah. And the man who took it refused to reveal the secret of where the gold's at, and through the 4-leaf clover is able to trap him in a wooden box for a long time. But unbeknownst to the new tenants of the household of what's down in the cellar, by pure shenanigans, the leprechaun gets out and is on the hunt for his gold once more. I'm going to be honest, with the plot, it sounds perfectly serviceable in what you would expect and fine. Like, we need this leprechaun to be aggressive. What is he protective of? His gold. Yeah. Someone takes the gold, makes the leprechaun angry. Makes sense. Right. That is perfectly sound, surface level. But whenever you get into the actual, like, plot of the story, like, there is no plot. There was genuinely a lot of times, it honestly felt like a student film or something where they didn't know what to do, and so they're literally just kind of meandering.
I am convinced this film, the script did not get a second pass. Like, this is the first version of the script whoever wrote, and they just went with it. Like, it doesn't make any real sense, because we come back to, you know, that's the plot, and then first credits are over. 10 years later, time skip, bam, Jennifer Aniston is here with her dad, who becomes increasingly unimportant.
Yes.
They are there to buy this house in North Dakota from LA for reasons unknown. They're going to spend the summer up here. You got to steal the deal on it. Nobody's bought this house in 10. How do you even know this house existed in North Dakota? There's no connection to it whatsoever, besides we're just going to go live here for the summer for some reason. It's a shit house with a leprechaun trapped in the basement. And, so the plot focuses on... No, don't get me wrong. It doesn't focus on the dad and the daughter moving into this home at all. No, it focuses on the daughter and the 3-man paint crew... who she becomes more chummy with than her own dad almost immediately. And they are the ones that end up combating this leprechaun. It's a wild experience, really, that doesn't make any sense. She walks in the home, she's like, I don't want to be here, I'm going to go get a hotel. And then she meets a hot guy that's painting the house, and he's like, what, are you scared of houses? And she's like, no, I'm not scared of anything. So actually, I'm staying the night here. And then that's why she's there the whole time instead of ever going to get a hotel. It's nothing that makes any sense. I'm not even gonna bother elaborating the plot because you're probably bored just listening to me talk about it. Imagine how bored you would be witnessing the movie. It's because this is the condensed version.
Yeah, like Aaron is not joking whenever he is genuinely just trying to scrape up the plot of this film. Like, what I gave you is the perfect elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that you use to sell the film.
That's the springboard. You'd be like, oh yeah, I could see where you go with that. And then they go nowhere.
Yes, exactly. It's like, you take the springboard, and there's no mat at the bottom.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on why the fuck they made this Leprechaun movie in North Dakota and not Ireland. But it's just, and don't even get me started on why they decided to choose North Dakota as the location when they did nothing to make it really appear like North Dakota. The kid in the movie's wearing a San Francisco 49ers cap the whole time, which is North Dakota's favorite team, I assume. It's just, it looks like they filmed it in Hollywood because they did, and it's just, why did they even bother to say it was North Dakota? Because whoever wrote the script had never been there, and they're like, yeah, this is North Dakota.
I think they literally made a North Dakota to spite Jennifer Aniston. I think that's the only reason. Like, North Dakota.
Yeah, that was to, like, give her some character, I guess, but her character was just insufferable.
Yes.
She was just, like, the parts where they completely abandoned the fact that she's, like, a prissy, I don't like cobwebs kind of girl attitude. She was fine, and then every time they remembered to write that back into the script, she was just like the worst version of a stereotype of like a Californian girl possible. It was
Man,
and she's the lead character.
Yeah, let's talk about the characters. In fact, so yes, to the surprise of everybody, this is one of Jennifer Aniston's early roles, playing Tori, and yeah, pretty much the thing that's surprising about the film is that none of the characters develop.
No.
They are exactly what they are. And to be fair, sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Because, it's just like, hey, you're not going to get a lot of screen time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who they are, essentially. But this film doesn't play out like other horror films or the way you would think it would play out.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Where you're like, okay, we get a little bit more time with the characters than you do the average horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there'll be a character arc redeeming. No, they are literally just continually, whatever they're introduced as, they keep that vibe throughout the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
And Jennifer Aniston, like, I like her fine. I think she can be funny or whatever. But, like, the script gives her nothing to work with.
Yeah.
And so... And you can also tell it's just like there was also no direction either whatsoever.
No.
Because, like I said, actors need like two things: their own acting skills and also direction in order to guide them through that. And I felt like they just kind of threw the actors in front of the camera and said action.
Right.
With little to no time to think about anything whatsoever. And so with her, the only thing I can say is she has a 90s outfit. And she's very prissy, likes her Evian water, vegan,
Oh, insufferable, absolutely. Like, they go to a diner and she's like, she can't drink water because it's not Evian water. And, like, I assume that was supposed to be a gag, like a joke, but it wasn't funny. And it took, like, 30 seconds of screen time of conversation between her and the dude.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, they have these, like, character tropes where they're like, the character's insufferable, but then she learns to, like, the countryside, learns to do this or whatever, but, nah.
Nope.
Nah.
No, she's just that the whole movie.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, yeah, all right.
But hey, at least she has a character compared to the other kind of lead person, Handsome McGee.
Oh yeah, apparently his name was Nathan. Thank you, IMDb, played by Ken Olant. Yeah, he is literally just the hot guy.
Yeah,
he's the hot guy.
He's not even like hot guy that's kind of ditzy. He's not even like hot guy that's full of himself. He's not even like hot guy that lightly teases the romantic lead. He's just hot guy.
Yeah, Wonder Boy, Wonder Slice of Bread over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has, he's clearly there to be the hook on why Jennifer Aniston doesn't immediately say, this is stupid, I'm leaving, I'm going away. She's like, oh, you're kind of hot, though, so I'm going to stick around. That's the main reason why she doesn't leave.
That's all it is. And there isn't even really that, but then there's like a little bit of romance subplot or something.
Maybe.
No, they kind of tried to in the beginning. I mean, really.
It was so half-assed.
Yeah.
The amount of attempts they had to make a romance. Like, he would give a couple lines, he's like, here, have some meatloaf.
Yeah. He's like, I don't eat meat. It's made of cow. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take off your shoe. This is made of cow. She's like, give me my shoe back. And that's all that happened there.
Yeah,
those were the jokes.
Yes, we're not glazing over anything. In fact, we might deliver the jokes funnier than the actual film did.
It's hard not to. I'm not trying to be funny when I do these. They might hit for somebody,
but again, there's nothing to his character. There is nothing, and mind you, again, oh my gosh, it's one of those things where if this was a different type of film, say Friday the 13th or something, that would be fine considering how those films typically play out, and that's not the main point.
That dude would be dead in 10 minutes.
Yes, for sure. But it's like he just got stuck with them, and then there's no progression whatsoever. Nothing. It's
Nothing
just
at all. The biggest character development that guy got was halfway through the movie. He put a jacket on. That was the big. That was the biggest change in his character I noticed.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. It just.
At least he got a wardrobe. Everybody else doesn't ever change their clothes.
Jennifer Aniston changed at the very beginning, changing out of those blue high heels there.
True.
But yeah, aside from that, nobody else. Yeah. They're not the leads. They only had one outfit.
Right.
They had to rock and roll with it. But it's genuinely seeing these characters, it's like they're making up the film on the spot. Almost like they're just like, oh, what do? We go over here. So there's no time for them to think, oh, what will my character do or whatever. It's just
and I feel like I've made this comparison maybe too many times already, but it really does feel like an AI generated script, because it doesn't make any sense at the end. There's no substance. It all okay, well, there's a plot and there's an arc here, but when you read through it, you're like, what is all this extraneous dialogue? What is all this? The jokes that are not funny. What are all this? Nothing actually matters or makes any sense.
Yeah, this genuinely does feel like an AI generated script, and I don't think you've used it on the podcast as of late because most of the films have not
been that bad.
Not even the films that you've disliked, you can understand how there could be some gold nuggets.
Yeah, even a lot of the bad ratings I've given on this podcast are 3s and 4s. They're inching towards average. It's not that bad compared. This is a bad movie.
Yeah. Man, we don't even have anything else to say about Nathan. It's just literally he's there.
No, there's nothing else to say. I could recite his lines verbatim. That's
We could talk about our boy Ozzy, played by Mark Holton, who is very surprising to see because he was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He's Francis. The one that steals Pee-wee's bike.
I didn't see Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so I couldn't.
You would like it.
I probably would.
Yes, I
always planned to watch that while masturbating in a theater, and I never quite got the opportunity.
God. Well, you'd have a lot more fun than watching this film. He was surprising, and I'm like, oh, cool, I like this actor. He's just given the note, be stupid.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm done.
You think he's over-exaggerating, but it's only a 10% exaggeration from his actual character. His character is just the dumb idiot.
Yeah. He's just a big dumb guy, but gentle and kind of sweet. Him and his brother are the whoa wacky role reversal.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the freaking of mice and men sort of thing. And I think they expected all of Ozzy's jokes to be hysterical.
Right, because it's like, well, this big dumb fat guy is saying it, so I mean,
that's just comedy.
so it's gotta be funny.
Yeah, but like he was just insufferable. Just sitting there, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's kind of part of like a little bit of a duo. Like they're a trio. It's these three brothers that paint houses and become inexplainably attached to the tenants for some reason. But I guess that's their whole job. But yeah, he's sort of kind of paired up always with the younger brother Alex, right?
Yes,
His name I at
yes,
least remember.
Alex, played by Robert High Gorman.
Who they were trying to like make an interesting character, but just nobody was buying it. You know what I mean? He's a kid. He's probably like 12 or something, and he's just like the super smart kid. That's like, oh, he's the one that fixes the truck and has got the plan and is the smart one of the group. And I think they had written out these characters to be like, oh, now this is an interesting trio that you might see in some cartoons or some shit. But it's just a child actor being like a smart ass, and it's not
I feel like that
charming or funny.
I feel like that was the hot thing after Home Alone. It's just creating very snarky kids.
Right, but like the difference between Macaulay Culkin's character in Home Alone and this is that like he's like mischievous but like, you know, lovable, but then this character is just like kind of a dick and like smart for no reason. Like and just like too smart for like he's like, yes. Let me, and like all the gags are about like his first line is like, they're like, hey, can we help you paint? And he's like, no, because of our liability insurance, blah blah blah. And it's just like, all right, nobody likes this kid. Like that, I'd beat this kid up.
Yeah, the kid was pretty freaking awful. Yeah. Like, and it's not even like child acting bad. I felt like the kid understood what the script wanted, but the script required was just terrible.
Was bad. Yeah, it was a bad character.
Yeah, just bad all around, and I just didn't care. I was just genuinely like, I don't care about this kid. I don't even care about any of the other characters whatsoever. And so it's not even just like, oh, that's funny, because there's been times in Friday the 13th, even in a short time, you get to know them. Yeah. Like, they could be obnoxious, but you can still find some humor out of it. Right,
or at least some charm or something to kind of be like, well, there's a silver lining here.
Yes, but here, the silver lining is gone. It never existed to begin with. These characters are so boring.
They're all
and
boring.
Awful.
It's sort of a double whammy too, because a lot of times you have terribly written characters, and you're like, well, the actors did what they could, but most of the acting's pretty awful in this movie too. Like, I'll give the kid a pass because he's a kid. He did fine with what he was given. Yeah. Pretty much every other actor was really bad.
Yeah, like the 5 seconds you get to see of Tori's dad, JD, played by John Sanderford. Yeah, he's literally just there. Is like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know how often his arms actually were akimbo, but I just reimagine him always arms akimbo, eyes rolling. Oh, you crazy kids or whatever.
Yes,
he's just
legit.
Like bad sitcom dad, like in a movie. And it almost kind of worked because the whole movie's 4:3 for some reason. Was this straight to DVD?
Supposedly it released in theaters.
Straight to VHS. All right.
I guess it was just the camera they were rolling with.
That's all they could afford.
Yeah, but yeah, and like I said, literally the other characters show up for like 5 seconds each. Literally nothing to talk about. Not highly offensive enough. It's just whatever, and I'm sure we'll bring it up whenever we talk more about incidents in a film.
Sure.
So I think it is easy to say the actor who stands the tallest amongst everybody, ironically, is Warwick Davis, played by Leprechaun. But Warwick Davis is a good actor.
He is, yeah, he
is. Literally, he was just taking up the initiative. He's like, I'm just going to be a silly little leprechaun that's killing people. And you can tell he's having fun.
Right.
Or at least I think he is. And I think he's the reason you're watching this film. Yeah. Which you would think like, oh, it's like Michael, Jason, Freddy. They're the reason you watch the films. Sure. And then you have Leprechaun, which it's so bad because they give him like the funniest, best intro ever, being on a spiral staircase and like there's like light pouring in. He's like, oh, I'm going to get me pot of gold. You know, and it just, I was like, hell yeah. All right, awesome.
And he does establish like the leprechaun lore of this movie immediately with his little rhyme. I can't remember what the rhyme was, but it was something like, if you mess with me pot of gold, I'm gonna poke you full of holes and fuck your corpse or something. I don't know. I don't remember what he said. What
I think that was right.
It was basically like, don't take a leprechaun's gold or they'll murder you. Is like the lore of leprechauns in this world. But
yeah, and like I said, it's so bad because I can see he's having fun, and you know, it's like one of those things that you think like, oh, he's having lots of fun. It's like silly, and the like violence and stuff they have, it's like all silly stuff. It's like stuff that's registering as a joke.
Right.
Mind you, even sometimes with jokes I find funny, you know, it's hard for me to laugh at most modern humor and everything. I need something horribly abstract or something just old, like something not relevant. But like even with some jokes that are funny, I just go like the you know, like that. Yeah. Like, okay, you got me. Good joke. This was dead silence. There was a moment a joke happened, and it was dead silence. And
then we started laughing because we realized they had just done like 3 jokes in a row, and we were just sitting there deadpan, eyes glazed over. And that was funnier than any moment of the movie for us.
It was so bad. And like, I think like, again, whenever it came to like making this like a horror comedy, like I'm like, yeah, sure, I see how it works. But there's something about it. Warwick Davis is giving it his all. You can tell he's like jazzing it up and everything, you know, and especially running around in the heels and everything. He's busting his butt carrying this film. But he can't.
No, it does feel a lot like they just imagine an empty stage and just a crowd full of people that are like desperate for entertainment, and they just shove Warwick Davis out in a leprechaun costume and just entertain them, make them laugh, and he just has to think of something on the spot. He's like, hee hee, look at me, click my heels, please laugh, and just everybody's sitting in the audience like, oh, what is this? What is this? That's the whole movie, man.
Yeah, it's so. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Because they set up stuff that should be funny, but they execute it in the least funniest way possible. Like, I was looking at it and I'm just, like Aaron mentioned, I was definitely glazed over. This genuinely, I was like sitting there and I'm like, I just want this film to be over.
All of the jokes in this movie are like the form of, it's like a form of derivative that we don't see anymore because nobody wants to even derive from that unfunny of source material. You know what I mean? It's like they were like, hey, these are jokes that everybody's seen before in like Bugs Bunny cartoons or some shit. We're going to replicate them poorly. And also, not only is what we're replicating, we're doing it poorly, but what we're replicating wouldn't hit with a modern audience anyway. So we're just doing double bad. Like,
yes.
It's like all of the jokes and all the lines are just like, well, I got your nose, kid. And then it transitions to the next scene. Like, it's just like, okay, like you ticked the mark for like structure for a joke, but it was unfunny, it was derivative, and the source material you're deriving it from was also unfunny. So like, fuck me, I guess. Why'd you even write that joke?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The humor is just definitely like you mentioned, derivative of other things we've seen, but done worse. But not only that, it's like lol to random humor. But at the same point, I feel like random humor is one of the most difficult humors to have. Like, because I've seen it work before. I mean, I've seen stuff like Invader Zim where they do random jokes and it's funny. Yeah. And everything. But this somehow made it unfunny, even though I wasn't expecting,
because a random joke has to not be like totally scripted by the like if it has to be for random humor to be funny, I can't sit there and expect exactly what's gonna happen. They're like, oh, now he's gonna pop out of this cabinet, oh, now he's gonna pop out of this cabinet, and it's like, that's not even random anymore. It's just like, yeah, I know it was gonna happen next.
Yeah, and it's such a shame too, because again, I felt like Warwick Davis, like, he is a very passionate actor. Yeah. And, you know, the outfit for him and, like, the face makeup he's, like, wearing, like, he's going all out.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's just given nothing.
Right.
nothing at all.
It's not a bad design for the villain. It's not even a bad concept, even. It's just, yeah, and he does a good job with it. It's just, he is in less than nothing of a movie. He is in a bad movie, and he has to, like, try to drag it up from the depths somehow.
Which I feel bad about. And again, like, this is the one time that I'm curious with all of the sequels it has, if I'm wondering, are the sequels going to be better than this first one?
Right.
Like, surely it can't go lower.
What could it?
Yes, that's the scary thing. That is the whole that's scarier than the whole movie is. Like, just thinking, man, are the sequels better? Surely they can't get worse. Oh my gosh. Because, like, I'm just going to tell you now, in the fourth one, he goes to space.
Oh, good. That's what we were all waiting for. Yeah. Do they ever go to Ireland?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you with all my Leprechaun research I will not do on this here, but...
An Irish leprechaun in America versus an American werewolf in London. Really spinning classics.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't the fifth one, did you tell me it was Leprechauns into Hood?
Yeah. I think the title is called Leprechaun in the Hood.
That one at least piques my interest because I feel like it has more potential to be so bad that it's good. This one I feel like doesn't even hit that mark. It is so bad that it's still just bad. It doesn't quite loop all the way around yet. And that is an overall negative. But maybe Leprechaun in the Hood
oh my gosh.
Could potentially
Let me just read
so
off the sequels because we'll get more joy. Leprechaun. Leprechaun 2. Leprechaun 3. Leprechaun 4. In space.
Okay, great. They decided to put a colon after that one now.
Leprechaun in the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Okay, good. That one was a success then. Because they made a sequel of the sequel.
And then Leprechaun Origins and Leprechaun Returns with a Leprechaun reboot supposedly happening.
Oh, good. Good. We're all waiting for it. Who watched the movie the first time? I guess people like us that were like, well, we gotta go see Leprechaun movie. And then they mistook the ticket sales as an initiative to make the second one.
Supposedly it made a lot of money.
I mean, the budget couldn't have been that big, so I guess you could probably turn a profit off of novelty alone.
According to Wikipedia, it had a $1 million budget and made $8.6 million.
That's why they made fucking 8 of them then, I guess.
While the initial reviews were negative, the commercial success prompted a series of films.
Yeah, I can see, the novelty. But, like, I get why people watch Leprechaun 1. Who was watching Leprechaun 2?
I guess, like, because, oh my gosh, because this isn't even a film I would choose to show, like, oh, it's so bad, it's good.
Right.
It's just bad.
This isn't even like, oh, let's have a party and, like, make a drinking game out of it. It's just like, I would just rather watch a movie with something good in it.
Yes, like a film that's at least trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a weird feeling of a film. Like, just watching it and just feeling like, okay, surely this, like, somebody had to be passionate about it besides Warwick Davis. He's the only one who cared about this film.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Oh, and like, that's the other bad thing too. It's like the things you would think is like, oh, well, at least the kills are good, right? Not really. No. No. Like, genuinely, the second Friday the 13th, where the majority of the time Jason kills, it's with a pickaxe, is a lot more scary and exciting than any of the variety stuff they had.
I've never seen a horror movie, like, fail at jump scares this often. Like, there were, like, at least 5 jump scares that I was like, this is about to happen. And then even whenever you know it's going to happen, sometimes it's still like, ooh! And this time I was just like, here's the Leprechaun. Like, he didn't even really seem dangerous for almost any of the movies.
No, he didn't! He just like, I want me gold back! I want me gold back!
They kept on like trying to like, oh, this guy, you gotta watch out for him. Look, they're so scared of him and they're saying he's gonna kill them, and he would just kind of jump out and then like get beat the fuck up or something, and then move on with their lives. It was just jarring.
Like, it's just so bizarre. Like, the stuff you would think is funny, but it's not. Like, literally whenever the leprechaun, surprise, appears back again and traps one of them in the room, you know, he's trying to run up the stairs and he uses his leprechaun magic to close the door, and you think, oh, that's it. Yeah. No, he just opens the door and continues to run through, and he's like, "Ah, my magic is failing me. I need my pot of gold."
Right.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. And again, you would think it'd be funny, but somehow they make it unfunny.
Yeah.
I think it's just impressive.
Right. Because if somebody would describe this movie to me, I'd be like, "Oh, you're tripping. I gotta go watch this movie. It sounds like it's so bad it's good." But
yes.
It's not. I promise you it's not. I'm not withholding some pot of gold from you, the viewer, so that I can hoard it all to myself. I am saying, honestly, I'm a fun-loving guy. You might think I'm of the two of us, the one that's the fuddy-duddy on the podcast. But I promise you, I enjoy a good, bad movie, and this is not that. It is just a bad movie.
Yes, it's just oh my gosh, like, that's the thing that's the biggest crime, is the fact that it's not a film that it's so bad it's good. It's just bad.
Just bad.
And the ways, it's like they're going out of their way to make it as unfunny as possible. Yeah. I just can't explain it. It's such a weird phenomenon. Because trust me, I love movies that are so bad that they're good. You know, I love me some of The Room, stuff like that.
Right.
This... oh my gosh, it's just, oh my...
like, you could categorize this as a black comedy, you know, one of those comedy, like a Snakes on a Plane ass type movie or something, but it's not even, I don't even think it really steps into that realm, because the comedy isn't even, like, so bad that it's good. It's not even enough of a joke that it would trigger, like, the neuron in my brain to go, oh, haha, good one. It's just like it's enough to register as the format of a joke, and then it's just like dead in the water.
Oh my gosh, it's, oh my lord, man. And I even talked about a lot of the stuff that actually just grates me and everything.
There's so many aspects of this movie we can talk about that are bad. Yes. The editing's bad. The sound design is bad.
Yes.
The music is completely uninspired. It's just every aspect that you can imagine in a movie is not good.
Like, that's oh my gosh, yeah. Man, what the hell to talk about? The music is almost criminal with how bland it is. Yeah. Like, it's a Leprechaun movie. Yeah. Literally have flutes, you know. Yes,
do anything
doing
with
that,
a Leprechaun
but
movie.
They just half-ass it. They just literally, like, it sounds just like they threw it again in a computer, like you mentioned, with AI and everything, and just churn something out.
No, they went to, like, before this even existed in '93 when they made this movie, they went to royalty-free website music, and they downloaded the first track on the homepage after typing in cinema, and then slapped it in there.
It just literally does feel like a film. Like, the fact that it had $1 million budget is insane. Because, like,
where did it go?
Because, like, oh my...
$1 million, like 3 decades ago. Where did it go?
That's just the amazing thing about it. Because, I mean, if you look at films like we've watched on a podcast previously, like Evil Dead had a budget of $375,000.
And it was so much better. Effects, cinematography, sound design, everything.
Yeah, so much better. And like I said, I just felt like the music was so underwhelming. I never, like, if they had made the music good, I think it would have heightened the overall action. Like, literally, if anything, just make the Leprechaun's music good. Yeah. You know, because that's the thing that gets us hyped up, you know, like hearing, like, you know, the theme of the killer running around.
Was there a theme?
No, like, literally, it was just half-ass flute. Yeah. Like, literally, it was just so undercooked. It just was not good. And like I said, sound design is also just weak as all get out. Like, literally, I've heard, like, the stock sound effects of, like, the like biting stuff, and I'm like, this literally just feels like again, they're just going to the public domain for free stuff, but it's not even like Wilhelm Scream where it's like, feels cinematic still. No, it just feels horribly cheap and not in a good way. And here's the one thing. The editing is so bad. Yeah. And like, I know I edit footage and I'm used to seeing stuff like that, but a lot of times, for the most part, if I'm invested in a movie, the editing aspect of me just like goes away. Right. I'm like, and
you're not really
invested.
supposed to notice the editing ideally.
Yes, but it is so apparently bad. Yeah. Like, literally, the guy will trip on a bucket he wasn't even near and was walking away from. Like, it's stuff like that where if I'm noticing it, I'm like, that's really bad editing. That is just...
Not to mention some of the transitions. You called them Malcolm in the Middle ass transitions.
Oh my gosh! Like,
they go,
like
in places where it does not belong.
It was awful and grating. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, this isn't Star Wars where you could just do, like, the fade wipe or whatever. Right. Like, I know you got Warwick Davis who played an Ewok, okay?
Yeah.
But, no, like, literally, it is just, as I just exclaimed in the middle of the film, these Malcolm in the Middle ass transitions going on. Man. Just a... Like, and it just is in such unfitting places.
Right, it's not even like that's the default transition for the movie, and so this is just the vibe we're supposed to experience. No, it's just like randomly, just in the middle of the movie, they start doing this, and it's like, what are you doing that for?
Oh my gosh, like, and it's just, oh my gosh, it really is bad. And it's bad because again, Aaron really isn't a fuddy-duddy. He's just able to look at films critically and just be able to look at it as like, okay, is this inherently a good film? Because there's films he's enjoyed on the podcast, but he said it's 5. Right, yeah. Like, it's a 5, but it's an enjoyable 5 or whatever. Right. Me, like I said, it's like, there was like only... There was one time there was an unintentional funny scene, and it was probably the hardest I laughed. And it was about 3/4 of the way through the film, and it's whenever he's the Leprechaun's chasing Jennifer Aniston in a wheelchair, and then it's just the way, like, the editing is weird because it is either so lackluster, like they literally just left the camera and walked away to get a bagel or whatever. Then other times they're doing like actual Sam Raimi shots. They literally did the zoom through the woods or the twisted angles, and I'm like, Sam Raimi, you are not at all whatsoever. But there's this one scene where, again, I don't know what it was, because that's what they did with Warwick Davis a lot, is sped up the footage to make him look like he's going super really fast. Yeah. And I don't know what it was. It's like, even thinking of it now, I actually did laugh. This is the one good joke. But, like, they did, like, a camera pan where they're following Jennifer Aniston running, leave the shot there, then for, like, a second, less than a second, Warwick Davis is flying through the screen and going, like, literally.
like, the mask-ass editing.
Like, that was just the funniest thing ever, because, again,
it was pretty good.
Whenever... It just made no sense on it made no sense on an editing reason, like why you would just stop the camera and just quickly show him going,
yeah.
Because it doesn't match the flow of editing that there was previously. Oh, but the fact they left it in just... But maybe that's like at the point where like I'm desperate to laugh at a joke.
Right.
That this is just the one thing that I just lost my marbles at. Because again, they do have like funny ideas for like kills or situations that pop up. And like pogo stick.
Okay, yeah, I'll give him that.
And then finding the little car. Yeah, stuff like that.
They try to like he's like a little toy-sized kid kind of goofy guy. They did really try to set up the villain as like a mischievous, like, ooh, he's a trickster. Leprechauns be tricking you. But most of the tricks were just like, I'm in the thing that you're trying to open. That was like...
He does that trick like 50 times. That was
like literally like probably 3/4 of the tricks.
Oh my
just
gosh.
Like, I'm going to open this thing and I don't think he's around. And then, I'm in the thing.
Oh man, yeah, and now it just comes down to the actual horror of the film and the fact that I'm like, I think the only people that would ever be scared by this film is like little kids,
children.
Little kids.
And you might think, especially due to some of the content of this movie, that like this maybe was their target audience, but then
Yes.
there are just like one or two scenes, because it's not even really that gory of a movie, but then there are just one or two scenes that would just completely negate kids from being an audience member.
Yes, like this seems like it'd be like a little kids film or like really bad Goosebumps story or something like that. Something like that. But then randomly it's just like, oh yeah, we're rated R, you know, throw in fucks and throw in some gore, but it's not even good gore.
It's not good. No, it's graphic, but it's not good.
No, oh man, it's just, oh, this film's bad. This is a bad film. And it's, I don't even know what else to talk about.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like if we talk too much,
we're already getting into spoilers trying to talk about it, because I'm just like, I felt like I've already made my peace with this film. And
I think we're already running out of content for the second half, so we might as well
let's just look, dude, let's just give the ratings.
Because it's hard to spoil something that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Dude, it's genuinely bad. And like I said, if I truly felt like I enjoyed this film, even if Aaron was like, this is awful and everything, I'd still go up to bat. I'm like, I don't think it's that bad.
Oh, come on, it was
like,
fun. Yeah, it was a fun little romp or whatever.
The only time I had fun is literally seeing Aaron seize on the couch. He's literally just
I was
grabbing
my head. Like, I was literally just like, I was almost Home Alone facing the whole time. I'm like, oh, you know.
Literally just rocking himself back and forth as if he's like being attacked mentally.
Yeah, no, some of the jokes were so bad it hurt. Like, I was getting angry at how bad parts of this script were. I was like, how can they make... Who allowed them to make this? I've watched porn parodies that made more sense and were more entertaining, like, as a plot line than this movie.
They were more cinematic.
Yes! Yes, I have seen porn parodies that reach art far faster than this movie ever will.
Oh, man. Now here comes the real question. It's bad, but how bad on a rating scale? Yeah. Aaron, time to deal out the verdict of the film.
You know, a film's bad when I feel like I have to explain my rating scale. And, you know, we do 1 to 10s here. For me, if a movie were to be an absolute 1, okay, hypothetically speaking, it would have to just be almost garbage. You know what I mean? Just to have nothing redeeming about it. I don't think this movie's a 1. I'll spoil myself right here. It's got some things. It finishes a narrative arc from beginning to end. It has Warwick Davis, who does give it his all and is an interesting design. And it's got novelty. And you can tell in parts it does try. We mentioned the pogo stick thing, the little car. It tries to set up rules that I think it really fails at its own rules.
It fails epically
but
at it.
At least some of the rules are in play. You know, there are things that they tried. It's just, when you look at the boxes and almost none of them can you tick as good. Like this, just everything is just like, yep, that's bad, that was bad, that was bad. Every aspect of this movie is pretty bad, but there are just some little gold nuggets of, you know, things that are okay. And because there's enough gold, not even things that are great, don't mind, just gold nuggets of things that are okay enough. This is a 2 out of 10 for me. This is a 2 out of 10 movie. Yeah. It would have, if 1 out of 10 movie, I would really just struggle to watch, and I would want to get up and leave. The benefit of this movie is it's like an hour and a half. If it had gone on any more, it might be a 1 out of 10. You know what I mean? It's skirting the line. I don't think we've seen like a truly, like 1 out of 10 is unwatchable. Like this one, you can watch it. I just wouldn't recommend anybody does. There's no reason to. So yeah, this is 2 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that might be the newest low, because you gave Krampus a 3,
Yeah, that was a 3. I think I've given out a couple 3s, but this...
Yeah, that and Friday the 13th Part 2, I think it was. Yeah, I'm not far behind you, bud. This film is just... It shouldn't be as bad as it is. Yeah. Like, it should be bad, but it shouldn't be this bad and boring. I think boring is the biggest criminal offense you could do for films, because yes, you know, it could be like art where it hits you, impacts you, but it should also be entertaining. Just something like that, and it just fails. And I feel so bad for Warwick Davis specifically, because again, he's the one that's trying to carry this film. But even with him just coming up with lines on the spot, I doubt the script gave him anything to work with there.
Yeah.
Literally, he's just like, I want to be pot of gold. I want to be pot of gold. That's probably it is. And he's like, can I do anything else with this besides say that? And you're like, oh, you could try something. He's like, well, just make it funny, I guess, or try to. Oh, and it's just a bad movie. And I don't think I can give it... I don't know, maybe I could. It's not a 1 for me either, because 1 for me is like unforgivable.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially like a 0. Like the 1 just insinuates for me they made a movie. Like,
right.
Yes.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, they met the criteria to call this a movie.
Yes, yeah. And even sometimes if they don't, it's just like, okay, somehow they were able to sell this as a movie.
Right.
You know, have that much there. Because, yeah, I'm like, I try to look for silver lining, like gold nuggets, as it were, as Aaron exclaimed. And for me, like, the only thing is Warwick Davis and that one stupid editing joke.
Yeah.
Like, that one stupid joke. And so, I mean, I'm going to be generous and give this a 2.5 because there was a couple of effects that I was like, wow, that was actually a well done effect.
Yeah.
Like that's where all the budget went and everything. I can't go to a 3 and a 2. Like if I had to go down to a 2, I'd be fine with it, but I'm giving it the little bump because I have seen films that are 2 out of 10s, and that's for me is like there was one part, only one thing, but this had just very few things scraped in. And again, it's like it's a novelty seeing young Jennifer Aniston before she made it big with Friends and everything. Like that's another thing that I'm like, oh, nifty or whatever. Yeah, this film is just bad, and not even go watch it. It's so bad. Just and I know people probably like this film. They probably, you know, have like fond memories attached and everything. Aaron and I don't have that. We knew about the film. We never sought the film out. And then lo and behold, 31 years later, we have finally watched Leprechaun. Yeah. And I don't ever want to watch this film again.
No, me neither.
It's just, and it's... The only thing I would ever come back to is that 1 second. The 1 second that
the
just...
wheelchair.
Yes. You know, doing that. If you do want to watch this film, be my guest.
Yeah,
you
I'm not going to stop you from making a bad decision.
But this has been the worst film I have seen on this podcast.
By far, yeah.
Yeah, and I hope to avoid more pitfalls like this. But that's kind of what happens whenever you head towards uncharted areas.
Yeah.
You weren't used to. So, yeah, for some reason, if you don't want to be spoiled about Leprechaun, now's your chance to leave. But you shouldn't care, because there's literally nothing to spoil about this film.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you even talk about first, Aaron?
Let's talk about the rules and how they are disregarded by the end of the movie.
Yeah, go for it.
So it does kind of do a good job of establishing the rules at the beginning of the movie. It's one of the things I gave credit for, where the guy who's just come back from Ireland and rides up to his old shit house in a limo, which I don't know why there's limo services in this insanely remote part of North Dakota, one of the least populous states in our union, but there was. And he rolls up and he's talking to his old wife about how he got this gold and yada yada, and somehow the leprechaun was in his suitcase the whole time because of leprechaun magic. But how he was powerful enough to do that, when it's explained later that he needs all of his gold to be able to do even the most rudimentary of magic tricks, I don't know. He maybe was just literally in the suitcase and the TSA sucked in this era. I don't know. But anyway, they do.
Yes, this film is doo-doo.
They do a good job of explaining the rules off the bat, where he says, you know, I found a leprechaun, and if you catch him and make him take you to his pot of gold, and then he'll do it, and you can take it, and it's yours, and great. Okay, so that establishes why he's got the gold, and then they establish, oh, the leprechaun has a little bit of magic, and he can kind of teleport into things. Great. And also they've established in the very beginning with the little thing on the stairs that he will kill anybody that takes his gold. They will be murdered. Great. So we've got rules set up. And then they have this little clash. He kills his wife by surprising her, and she falls down the stairs in the least convincing manner possible. That she just kind of tumbles down the stairs, and then it cuts to her death. And so you see he has murderous intent, and he also can do little voices or whatever. That's his other little trick, that he can mimic anybody's voice. So we're getting an understanding of what leprechauns be in this universe. And great. It does a solid job of establishing all that, and then finally, crucially, it establishes that a 4-leaf clover. That leprechauns can't die, really, just by gunshots and things, but he's got a 4-leaf clover, and he's like, hiss, it's like garlic or a cross or something, I don't know, I'm a vampire now. 4-leaf clover, which he had a 4-leaf clover symbol on his hat, I'm pretty sure. He's a leprechaun. Anyway, I don't think that's official Irish lore for leprechauns, but I could be wrong. So then, crucially, he sets it on his box, and he's like, you'll never get out as long as this 4-leaf clover that won't decay for some reason is sitting on your box, and you'll just be trapped there forever. So I do think it does a good job of setting up all the rules in the beginning, and then none of them matter.
Oh my gosh, it just does not matter.
It doesn't matter because as it seems later, first off, the leprechaun just can't die. It seems, because the whole plot of the movie, that suddenly at the end they're like, we have to figure out how to kill him. They go to the retirement home, or the old folks home, the crazy ward. I don't know, because the guy had a stroke, and then he's talking about leprechauns all the time. And they find out they finally find him hanging from the elevator, because of course it was the leprechaun in the old folks home when she arrives, and that's why he's chasing around in the wheelchair. Yeah. He's like, you just gotta put the 4-leaf clover on him, and then they find this 4-leaf clover in the worst 4-leaf clover patch I've ever seen in my life, which is just a green spotlight that they shine on a patch.
So bad.
It's just you could see the green on their hands and everything, because it's just light that they shine on a dead patch of grass. Because they didn't have the budget to have actual clovers, I guess.
Yeah, God forbid $1 million.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out how to grow grass for $1 million. So the kid shoots the 4-leaf clover down the guy's throat with a pack of gum on it. That was stupid. And all the time he did that, he could have literally just walked up and placed it on him. But whatever. And he does the scene where he's melting in Indiana Jones, and then he's not dead. So. Okay, 4-leaf clovers don't kill leprechauns. That was a lie. Leprechauns get more powerful when they get all their gold back. Okay, that was one rule that they established, and you saw that in the movie. Once he finally got his sack of gold back, he was teleporting around all over the place or whatever. So then why by the end of the movie, whenever he has all of his gold except for one coin, and he's shot in the face 1 million times, and then finally eats the clover and falls down the well, and they blow him up. It's okay, he's not dead, but he's also not powerful enough. Did he just toss his gold somewhere? Why doesn't he have his gold with it? Why is he not powerful enough to escape this well? There's obviously not a 4-leaf clover in anymore, because they blew up the well with gasoline, because that's how that works. I don't know. The rules don't actually matter at all. He doesn't actually kill anybody that took the gold. There's no consequences to taking the gold. He kills the old guy that took the gold in the first place 10 years later. Yeah. Just so they just long enough to finally, for him to say, hey, this is how you kill leprechauns in person that I've never seen before in this elevator that I'm hanging upside down from. It's too late for me. I'm hanging upside down in this elevator now with blood in my head. I'm not quite sure what happened to me, but I'm stuck and it's too late for me. I need to tell you that so that this is nicely tied up. There's so many scenes like that where the characters explain themselves. I don't know. I know I'm rambling on.
You're good.
the point of all is my spoilers are all of the rules that they set up for this little leprechaun guy were okay, and then most of them were just violated by the end of the movie.
That's the most offensive thing about this film is the fact that there's times where, again, it's like you have a little magical entity running around, and it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't have his gold, okay, so he can't do a lot of magic. But he was already doing a lot of magic before,
right?
And honestly, whenever he got the gold, he was not doing nearly any magic whatsoever. Yeah. It's literally just Warwick Davis running around in a field, chasing them, and I'm like, this is just silly. Like,
show us the magic.
Yeah, like
they like the scene where they used to like show that he's powerful now is he like is literally teleporting in the cupboards or whatever, isn't that?
And even then, it's not even that impressive. No, that's the bad thing. Like, and so I think that's just the most offensive thing is that this thing isn't terrifying. Like, literally, there is one scene where all of them are just kicking the hell out of Warwick Davis.
They beat the shit out of him. Yeah,
and it's not even like, you know, like something admirable, like say in like Halloween or Friday the 13th, where it's like, oh man, he took a hit and he's like a little bit down, but then he gets back up and he's running. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of sad and pathetic because literally Warwick Davis is there lying on the ground and they're just kicking him.
Like they're beating up a dwarf.
Yeah,
it's like, is this a hate crime?
But yeah, that's the thing that's confusing about the rules and everything, because literally, I can't think. The old guy at the beginning of the film traps him in a box because he places the 4-leaf clover on top of the box, which I guess renders him useless.
I guess so.
I guess. And then it's only then, whenever it's blown off to the side, that he's able to bust out of the box.
Right.
At all. And
it's like, man, you couldn't rattle the box a little bit to get the clover?
like seriously, yeah, because he's just literally laying there catatonic or something like that.
I forgot about my favorite rule, which they seemingly just made the fuck up mid-movie, which was that he needs to shine shoes. He has to. They use this device. Like, they do introduce that he's like, I'll shine your shoes early on in the movie or whatever, like that, and I'm a shoe shiner. Like, they do establish that for some reason, just so like this part makes sense, I guess. But then whenever Jennifer Aniston needs to escape so she can go to the hospital to ask the stroke victim how to kill a leprechaun, and nobody wants to go to this hospital with her, despite the fact that one of them has their leg caught in a bear trap, the other one got like their ear bitten off. None of them want to go with them because they have to be the distraction, sitting in the back of the car that's about to take off and throwing shoes out in the driveway so that the leprechaun will chase them and shine them, and then they get out of the car so it can drive away. Why? Who knows? There's no logic in this movie.
And it didn't even matter because he just teleported after her.
He was like a full gold. He had 99 gold pieces except for one.
Not only that, he teleported with skates on his feet.
Yeah.
Cause magic and funny haha.
I was fine with that. I just wish more of the movie was that. I wish he had like, chaotic powers or something where he just like, oh, now that I've got me gold, I can shoot a rainbow blast out of my eyes or some shit. Like,
that would have been so much better.
Or, like, he was established as like a prankster, silly guy. Then, like, how come he's not just like, somebody opens a jar of snakes or something? Jelly bean. There's just a million things you could do, and none of them. They had him pogo stick a guy to death. That was cool, but
yeah, that was about the only creative death in the entire film. But there's only 2 deaths in the film.
Yeah, and neither of them are characters that matter at all.
Yeah, because like everybody else is just injured. Like the dad gets his hand bit
and then
because of the cat.
And then he's in the hospital for like 24 hours because his hand was bitten. Like, we need to keep you here overnight for this hand bite injury. Yeah. Just because we don't want you in the film anymore.
But yeah, because like the guy who gets pogo stick to death, that was just random, and I was like, oh, okay, well at least we're at the point now where we'll get creative deaths, because it's the guy who they give the gold to because they want to see like how much it's worth or whatever, and he's like, oh, do you mind if I study this to see exactly what it's worth? It seems to be of historical value. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll be back tomorrow. Because yeah, freaking Francis and the little kid, I know his name's not Francis, but I'm calling it that. Yeah,
Little Kids Alex. I don't know what the old
that's who I was referring to, Francis, because he played Pee-wee's. Anyways, oh my gosh, I forgot. The editing and special effects. Special effects can sometimes be super good, but it can also be horrendous. Like the rainbow outside. I have seen you edit rainbows a million times better. And again, it's like, oh, it's 93. No, don't even. Like,
I can tell you it took me like fucking 3 minutes.
Yeah, because like it was literally like the pinwheel wiping. He's like, oh, look, a rainbow. And then it's like, that's where the pot of gold is. And then that makes me wonder, why doesn't a leprechaun just wait for the rainbow to pop up?
Right, surely the leprechaun would know this, but...
maybe he can't see the rainbow? I don't know. The rules...
But can he taste the rainbow?
The rules don't matter. And then it just leads him to the bag of gold, which is invisible, but then turns visible.
Right, and also, how did the bag of gold get there? Because last we saw the gold, or whatever... Like the guy...
I think the guy said he was hiding it because he's like, I'm going to hide the gold, dear. I'll be right back. You know, and so then that leaves her alone inside the house.
Because he already had a perfect hiding place. He smuggled it over the border in like a ceramic urn that was like apparently supposed to be full of his mother's ashes from Ireland. And then he just shatters the urn. And it's like, look at all the gold inside. I'm going to go hide it now. I'm like, well, I already had a pretty good one right there.
All right, sure. Yeah, why don't we do that? Oh my gosh. And yeah, it's oh man. I don't yeah, seriously, like
can we talk about the shotgun with infinite ammo until the end?
Oh yeah, that was like I haven't seen a shotgun like that since the one of the last episodes of The Walking Dead in season 2, whenever zombies raid the farm and one of the people's going like I remember on Facebook people are like infinite ammo unlocked or whatever. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it has been a long time since I've seen something that egregious. Because you see it a lot with like handguns or machine guns or something. I mean, the things that have magazines. But this was like, I'm not trying to be like a gun pervert here. But like, bro, it was obviously a shotgun, single barrel. You load one thing in, you shoot it, you eject it, you load another shell in. It's how shotguns work. And he literally shot this leprechaun square in the chest and then went to the bushes and was just like... literally like 6 times because he says, I shot 6 rounds into that thing, which was a great line because he shot exactly 1 round into it and then it ran away and then he just like waddles over to the bushes and just starts shooting the bushes where nothing is. Man, this movie.
Yeah, it's so bad. And he's like, yeah, I shot him 6 times, you know.
There's no way
like, okay, you're not Dr. Loomis where you literally did shoot him 6 times.
Right.
You shot once, then shot a bush 5 times, you know. And I love it too because they have that bit where they shoot him in the chest or whatever, and you know, surprise, he's not dead, wanders around, and then man, thinking about this film, I just get depressed.
Me too. Every time I bring this up, it's like, oh, this would be a point to show the audience why it's bad, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm talking to fuck, I'm just shadow boxing nothing.
Yeah, seriously, there's nothing
this
to
movie's
it.
Awful. Like I could tell you about. Okay, so when after that scene happens, they run back. They have the big dumb one go inside to make the phone call because of course they do. They also have the child go get the shotgun. It's like they're mixing up their roles here.
Yeah.
While the woman that is prissy and doesn't want to touch spiders is the one that's helping beat up the dude, and like they mixed up the roles here. They haven't watched enough Scooby-Doo. They should know, you know, who goes to the kitchen and who goes to the bedroom. Yeah. But anyway, so the dumb guy calls and says, "There's a leprechaun out here," and they go, "Haha, good one." And then he comes back and he's like, "They're coming." And he's like, "Do you tell them there's a leprechaun here?" He's like, "Yeah." Stupid. So then Jennifer Aniston has to go call, but he severed the phone line. But then the person that was writing the script after they wrote that line realized, well, we showed Jennifer with a fucking cell phone earlier in this movie, so now I've got to figure out why that wouldn't work. So she goes and she's like, my mobile phone, and digs it out of her purse, and then she calls and is like, hey, please come help. Oh, the battery died. And it's like, mid-call... It's just everything about this movie. It's like they're like, well, we can't leave a plot hole here, so let's explain it in the worst way possible. And then they still have like plot holes everywhere else.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. And of course, they do a lot of the horror tropes, like they shoot Warwick Davis in the head again in the house, and then he's lying there on the floor still, and they're like, "Oh, is he dead?" And it's like,
He's dead.
"Yo, yeah, he's definitely dead." And then surprise, he's not dead, and he's running around. And literally, there's like one scene that should be funny, but is one of the most unfunny things, where he's sliding back and forth on a skateboard, and he's unloading a shotgun, and somehow can't hit in this tiny hallway. As Warwick Davis not even going fast, he's literally slowly moving back and forth,
doing different poses every time. Yeah,
and he can't land a shot to save his life whatsoever. It's just, oh, whoa, yeah. Man, it's just so bad. You would think Killer Leprechaun, that's comedy gold, you know,
Comedy gold?
at the very least. No, it's just bad. Like, again, the only time I ever felt like I had fun with Leprechaun was Pogo Stick Kill, because of how absurd it was.
Yeah,
and even then, it wasn't that satisfying.
No, it wasn't, because it wasn't even convincing that it was happening. It was
No.
just like they showed the pogo stick, and then they got on top of him, and he's going, but then it's just like the guy's just like sputtering up blood, just laying there taking this pogo stick barrage. It's just I wasn't convinced.
No, and then the next guy, and the final guy who dies, mind you, is a cop that pulls him over because I guess he thinks it's a little kid.
Yeah, because he's driving like a little car, and
yeah, because he got a little car from the shop, which I laughed at how absurd it was.
Yeah, what kind of shop was it? It says in the window like coins and things, and then there's just like also a bunch of toys.
Those are the things,
I guess.
So. Oh my gosh. But then like the cop is an absolute dick to him on every front, and then he grabs his face and is able to take his gun.
Yeah.
There. Oh my gosh.
That's
that's just the weird thing about this film, is the stuff he does. He does random stuff, like he literally pinched that one guy's penis out of the drawer.
That was actually funny.
Yeah.
That was I was trying to remember to bring that up as like, okay, that was like the one funny thing that he did while being mischievous, was he like opens the door and grabs the guy's dick, and he's like, oh, and then he like teleports away or whatever. I was like, that was kind of good. It was just in the middle of like the most egregiously mid seed possible.
Yes, because that was the one whenever it's like, I need you to open those cabinet doors, and I'll shoot, and then it's like, miss me, and opens the door, miss me again, should look behind door number 2.
Yeah, and then they just do it again.
Yeah,
why just open all the cabinets, man?
But yeah, and so then we're seeing the cop running through the woods away from this guy, because again, Warwick Davis just runs after them, and it's not scary. It's just.
Yeah, and you think, okay, so before you got to the point in the movie where, like, all 5 of them were beating him up or whatever, like, it seemed like the Leprechaun was only showing itself when there was only one person around. And it was like, horror movie trope. So that's how this Leprechaun's going to be smart and take them all down, even though he doesn't have his powers back, and he's a little trickster, and yada yada. But no, I feel like at some point in the movie, he just says, fuck it, and it just pops, like, after he catches McHandsome in the bear trap, just pops out and is like, I want to be gold! And, like, all of them come out, and he doesn't decide to retreat. He's just, like, there to take the beating.
Yeah.
It's just, he becomes so much less scary at that point, because they're just always together, and nobody, like, even whenever people walk away for something, at worst, the Leprechaun will pop up and be like, Meh! And they'll just like run away, and then nothing bad happens. Like, there's no danger present at all for the main cast.
Yeah,
ever.
And that's a bad thing too, because spoiler alert: the 4 main characters we talk about, none of them die.
None of them.
None of them die.
None of them really. Even as an audience member, you're like, oh, this is looking bad for him. It's just like, yeah, whatever. Like.
Yeah, like, go ahead, kill him. I don't care about this character, kill him.
I know you're not going to, because these are the only characters you've attempted to develop for the whole film, and you didn't even succeed at it, so...
Yeah, and there's no character arc either, so they're literally just the same boring, awful characters throughout the entire film.
I feel like it takes too long for the Leprechaun to kill anybody, too, because he kills, like, the woman when she falls down the stairs, but it doesn't even, like, feel like he meant to do that,
no,
you know what I mean?
That was just, like, by chance.
Yeah, he just kind of scared her, And so, like, it doesn't seem like even though they tried in the beginning to be like, I'll kill anybody who takes me gold, it doesn't seem like he actually has the intent to do anything bad except for get his gold back. Like, and so he's not scary at all. Like, there's no, like, I'd never, like, once you get, like, to the fucking 45-minute mark in this movie and he hasn't killed anybody yet, I was like, he's not gonna kill anybody. And then he kills, like, the gold dude and then the police officer and then, like, no one else.
And even then, like, while the Pogo one is, like, a unique concept on paper, the police officer death just sucked.
No,
It was just awful because he's, like, in the woods. He's like, oh, play the hide-and-seek card, yeah? All right.
And it just went on too long. Even the police officer gave up. He just threw his baton at some point.
Yeah. And then, like, how does Warwick Davis kill him? He just sits on his shoulders and twists his head.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the death. And oh my gosh.
Whoopity-doo.
Yes, whoopity-doo indeed. Like, he just does random stuff. Like, literally, whenever it comes to chasing him to the hospital initially, he steals this, like, little tricycle.
Yeah.
That's there because, sure, or whatever. And it's more like, that'd be really funny seeing a little leprechaun. Which, again, on paper, looks funny, but they somehow make it unfunny.
Right, yeah, they don't, like, try to make anything work.
And then they also give him, like, a Mad Max car, like, pulling out, and...
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot they knocked the truck over with it. He drives so fast, and then it just cuts to footage of the truck rolling.
Right.
Because it just got hit that hard, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I could go over every joke in this film.
And how bad it is.
It's just... It's not a good film. It's not a funny film. I'm like, like genuinely having to reminisce about this film is bumming me out.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
It's like, I could go over it. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely films I've seen that are 1 out of 10. This is not a 1 out of 10.
I agree.
But, oh, what did you think about the badass line you forgot whenever the kid kills the leprechaun? Well, attempts to kill the leprechaun with a 4-leaf clover. Fuck you, Lucky Charms.
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't know why they even kept that line in the movie, because they didn't even bother putting in Lucky Charms, so they obviously, like, didn't get the license to have that. They put in some off-brand ass cereal that was supposed to be Lucky Charms, but it was called, like, Lucko the Irish or something.
Yes, exactly. Something like that. It shows a media and he's like...
So they were like, well, we gotta put in a Lucky Charms reference somehow, so let's make the kid say the fuck word, and then sling this slingshot into his mouth when he could just walk up and put the thing on him. It was just like a terrible capstone for a shit character that I didn't care for.
I will...
Fuck the 49ers.
I will say there was one thing on paper I did like, which is like whenever, because they're the stupid kid and the dumb adult like have like the bag of coins and they're holding it because they're like, oh, we can't tell anybody else because they'll take the gold from us or whatever. And then they blurt out about the gold and everything. But mind you, this killed Aaron and I whenever we heard the reasoning, which was like, you know, with all this money, we could fix your brain and make you smart. I was like, oh my god, please stop. And they made that joke like multiple times.
Yeah, and it was awful because it wasn't even like the kid was too young and naive to understand that you can't fix like this adult that is presumably mentally handicapped. Because Jennifer Aniston's character, once they find out that this was the plot, is like, you know you can't fix his brain, right? Like, in quotations. And the guy was like, yeah, I know, but he doesn't. And it's like, so you're just a piece of shit? Like, why would you
This kid is honestly awful.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with you, buddy?
Yeah, but I do like Jennifer Aniston's like, this is stupid, give me a gold, I'm giving it back to the leprechaun.
Right.
Like, that was the most logical thing I had seen.
But of course that doesn't just end the movie, because they had to make the stupid guy so stupid that he accidentally swallows a gold coin somehow.
Yeah, because he's trying to bite it, because he's like, how can you tell it's real gold?
He's like,
You bite it? Oops. And so that's the reason why. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, because they gotta still make the leprechaun attack, and I don't...
God, not to mention they set up what I thought was going to be the end, because I'm like, I've seen movies before. I get what they're doing here, and this is going to be stupid. And it was even stupider than what they actually said. They did the Jennifer Aniston at the table with Meatloaf McGee, who's eating meatloaf. And he's like, you want some? It's meatloaf. And she's like, oh, do you know what's in that? Dead cow. I don't eat meat. And he's like, oh, well, your shoes are made of meat or whatever. And she's like, I would never hurt an innocent thing ever. I would never hurt a living thing. I take note, audience. I would never hurt. Either we're going to be in a situation where I'm going to have to hurt something, and I'm not going to do it, okay? And then she never has to do anything to the leprechaun. She just kind of gives him the gold, and then the kid kills him. I was like, oh, okay, I thought at least the main character would kill this leprechaun.
Can we talk about how shitty that Shamrock Field was? It literally just looked awful. Like a regular dead-ass grass and then lumps of green clovers that they then extenuate with the green light and just everything.
Green spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you're seeing it on the actors' arms, and whenever they see the four-leaf clover, they literally are shining a golden light on it.
Yes. It was like the level of effects production you would expect at a high school theater show.
Yes.
But it was caught on camera.
Yeah, it's
in a movie with $1 million budget.
Let's talk about the one scene where it was so unfunny that we laughed or whatever, because it was the scene that he's teleporting after Jennifer Aniston, who's going to like the hospital home or whatever,
right?
And he's on skates, and he can't control himself. He's going through a fence, and it's literally like a perfect Looney Tunes cardboard cutout of him, and we just sat in dead silence, and the film is silent, letting you reel in from supposedly laughing at it. And because it was so dead silent on Aaron and I's side, we just busted out laughing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We can also talk about the costumes, and we didn't do that in pre-spoilers. Hey, costumes, 90s as fuck.
Yes, very.
It was just egregiously 90s.
It was, and it's 93, which is impressive that they are starting out the decade that strong. Like, here's what the 90s has to offer.
If I didn't know any better, it was so 90s that I thought this was some student film trying to make a period piece set in the 90s, and they just wanted everybody to know this is the 90s, so you all have to dress this way. But that's just how the costumes were.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. It's so stupid. So after they kill the leprechaun or whatever, blow up the well or whatever, they have like the line where it's like, hey, turns out your brain is really smart, like eating that gold piece. And I'm like, that's just stupid and insulting and awful. Yeah. And he even does like the trick where he's like, got your nose or
yeah,
whatever.
Like, well, you got to do a callback to earlier in the movie when this happened.
Man, it's,
yeah. It's
literally
what I mean when I say it's like AI generated, because it's like a computer would pick up like, oh yeah, patterns in movie scripts, we got to do this, but like they don't mean anything. They don't hit on a human level.
Yeah, it sucks because again, you feel like there's no character progression, no nothing. There's nothing satisfying about it. It's not even like, like Last Survivor or anything else like that. It just feels so awful, and literally it just shows like the morning sun as police officers are finally pulling in.
Yeah, inexplainable. They just
for I guess reasons.
Now they're showing up. Yeah.
Then it zooms into the well where the leprechaun is threatening to return because the four-leaf clover doesn't actually kill him.
Yeah, neither the four-leaf clover nor the gasoline bomb they impromptu made. Mind you, they knock this guy into the well. After he's like regenerating and is like, I'll get you. He kicks him in the well, runs over to his truck to grab a regular sized container of gasoline, just pours it into the water well. And then I was like, wow, great thinking, pal. You're just going to set the water well on fire with the magical leprechaun in the bottom. Like, that's going to do something. But then he just lights the match, and it just, of course, it just explodes.
It's
like, that's where they put all the budget. Was like, we're going to blow the fuck out of this well. And they have like 10 camera angles.
It was funny seeing him use a big explosion, but it was actually just an awful explosion.
It was bad.
It was just terrible. Like, it's just one of those things that I'm like laughing at how bad it is, but also that they're doing this trope. I don't know. This film just doesn't know what it wants to be. Like,
No.
literally, they make it the most boring film shot-wise
Right.
for a majority of the film. Then whenever Jennifer Aniston goes to the retirement home, they decide to make it the most artsy-ass film
Yeah.
ever. Like,
There
tilted angles.
There are a couple
We're
times.
making this Suspiria with the lights and
Right.
crazy stuff like that. I'm like, what is going on with this?
There were a couple times, where they just randomly were like, "Oh yeah, there's a shot I saw in a movie once. I want to try to do that."
Literally, they did the same shot from the Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Dude, I don't even know what else to talk about, because literally I could think of more stuff that happened, but it's not even worth talking about. It's genuinely...
It's really
we
not.
talked about the best parts already.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you're like, oh, you didn't mention this part.
When she ran to the police car.
No.
You didn't mention when he did the little voice of like a kid trapped in them. You didn't mention. Well, we didn't want it because it was a shit movie. So get over yourself.
That's true. Anything else you want to talk about with this film?
No.
Me neither.
No.
Okay, so we're closing the book on that one, just sealing that shut tight, throwing it down a well and blowing it up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the second film.
Please.
Yes.
I need something to look forward to.
Okay, so this film is a sequel.
A squeakquel.
Yes, a squeakquel. And it's about a fictitious event that occurs around this time of year. We've seen the first one of this film, and in fact, we mentioned it whenever we realized Lakeith Stanfield was in this series.
It's a sequel, so we watched the first one?
We watched the first one of the series. Usually takes place in March, about bettering America.
There's a holiday in March about
It's a fictitious event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. You're like, Leprechaun 2.
The Purge?
No!
The Purge?
Yes,
too? Okay.
yes,
I was
yes,
like, I was trying
yes.
to think of a real holiday.
Aaron starts sweating
It was like-
bullets. Like,
I was like, we watched
God.
the Keith Richards movie with
start sweating. Not Leprechaun 2. Please.
What else is in March? The Ides of March? Like,
Yes.
what is going on?
Dude, that's such a good horror idea. Ides of March.
Yeah.
Man.
Dude, I
Get
cannot
better.
wait for the Arbor Day horror movie.
Oh,
Give me the President's Day horror movie.
Oh, I'm sure they're working on it, or it's already been made.
They made that Thanksgiving one, last year? That looked
Yes.
awful?
Yeah. Supposedly I heard it was still a fun romp.
Okay.
But
well,
I don't know. I haven't seen it. But yes. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Seriously, thank you if you stuck around listening to us gripe about this. We'll see y'all again next time when we're popping the scary with The Purge Anarchy. I wasn't going to have you try to guess the word anarchy. I was just going to be like Purge 2. A-okay in my book. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, Castbox, or iTunes platforms to stay up to date when new episodes drop. To see what Aaron and I are up to, check out our respective Twitter accounts. For me, it is @ColeKirkVA, and for Aaron, it is @AnimalGameDev. Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast. We'll speak to you all again next time when we're popping the scary.